Good afternoon. I'd like to take you back through. I'd like to take you back through like the last 15 years in approximately 15 minutes. Some of these poems were, two in fact, were actually written down at Ground Zero, or key images were from Ground Zero. The first poem I'd like to read is called The Firefighter. It's basically a composite of, I taught at the Academy for the Fire EMS Academy for 20 years, and it's basically a composite of several firefighter students I had. And subsequently we lost 343 the first day. The Firefighter. They rested a while near the 32nd floor, the stairway packed with an unending stream of people. Some too numb to speak, some offered bottled water. A woman touched his hand and said, "God bless you." He knew it was bad, maybe worse than 93. It was getting hotter. His turnout gear hung on him like a wet, heavy blanket, and that house fire smell multiplied by 1,000,000. The lieutenant came back and said, "Time to go, gentlemen." He stood up, shifted his Scott pack, picked up the Halligan and the axe, peered into the smoky darkness, and whispered, "You and me, Lord," and climbed straight to his death like a man. My next poem, actually, I was sitting in a staging area, and there was so many just weird things going on. It was like, people kept saying, "Where are the monsters?" Like Godzilla, because it was that kind of sci-fi terrain, and there were real monsters, obviously. But I saw canine units putting boots on their canine dogs, their rescue dogs. And it just struck me like, holy cow, look at that. So that was one of the first images. It's called Surreal Estate because everything down there was like unbelievable. Surreal Estate, 9/11/01. 1. I walked in Hell's Half Acre where the rescue dogs wear combat boots, and asbestos snow seasons my sandwich as death stands close to us all. 2. We rise from these ashes again and again. Accept the sadness. Step up, move forward to complete our work. 3. With a heavy heart in a city forever changed, I see the spark of hope, pride, and love. The flags wave. The signs say, "Take courage." The crowds cheer as we approach Ground Zero. That was the oddest thing. We were going down in what they call gators, which is like a souped-up golf cart. That was one of my gigs, was I was a driver. And as we would go down like the west side, people would cheer. It was like, wow. A real shocking moment. My next poem is called Civilian Casualties. John Q. Public, just people, just working people. A beautiful September morn, and madmen turn day to night. Crisis, cataclysm, Armageddon, what words could describe that day? Some never knew what hit them, perhaps lucky. Some poor souls forced to jump or burn. Some crumbled, while some led people to safety. 1,000,000 downtown stories, the Pearl Harbor of our age. A sea of battered people stagger uptown. I watch from my southbound ambulance. The next poem is about Father Mychal Judge. He's recorded as the first recorded casualty of 9/11. He was killed giving last rites to a fireman. in the lobby of the Trade Center. In memory of Father Mychal Judge, guide us, bro, and watch our backs. This world's a deadly place. You hear our prayers, then pass them on to share God's saving grace. After 9/11, we wear a lot of hats in EMS and Fitney, and one of my jobs was a peer counselor for the counseling service of the fire department. And Father Judge is basically our patron saint, you know. So. Anyway, speaking of that, one of my jobs on 9/11 was as a peer counselor, and in addition to being an EMT or whatever. And this is one I wrote as I was down here of what I actually did. It's called Just Like Lucy's Blues. Lucy for Peanuts. 9/11/01. Stuyvesant High School. Dozing there in a corner on a cot under a cardboard sign saying, "Critical Incident Stress Debriefing, CISD." Feeling like peanuts. Feeling like Lucy and Peanuts. Psychiatry, 5 cents. Now, as I was saying, my perception of 9/11 isn't strictly that day. It's these 15 years. We've lost probably more people through illness, through 9/11 cancers, through lung disease. Most of us have lung problems. And that's my perception of the event. I left the counseling service the day after the 10th anniversary. I had been on that one specific job, 9/11, for 10 years. You know, and it's still going on. It no means stopped when I threw in the towel. So this is another one. We've lost a lot of people, and sometimes I get a little bitter about it. Forgotten. For our 9/11 lost and doomed. America, you said you'll never forget. I'll think of that as I lay dying. You lied like a cheating lover. We were out of your thoughts before the smoke cleared. We took our oath like a wedding vow, to serve and protect. Now death does us part. My next poem is for somebody who lost a very good friend of mine, one of my initial instructors when I was in EMS. It's called My Old IC, that stands for Instructor Coordinator, in other words, the head instructor. From Rudy Havelka. To see you there on Skill Test Hell Week was always a great comfort. You were tough, but fair, and not cruel, as sometimes happens with less seasoned instructors. Later, working with you was always a pleasure. Riding in the bus, or just sharing a cup of coffee at the academy was a learning experience. Funny, ironic, sharp as a tack, my EMS skills and heart were better for just knowing you. You caught your death that September day. Nearly 12 years it lay dormant and festering. Then it took you as it takes us all. I hear you were teaching the EMTs who drove you to Sloan Kettering. No surprise there. Like a boxer who goes down fighting, you were a teacher who taught us to the end. The next poem is sort of like watching things on TV. TV is a big trigger for people with, problems like post-traumatic stress and things like that relating to this. And we actually would advise our patients and clients at the counseling service not to watch TV in September. Don't watch the news, but everybody does. It's just the way I do. It's called Anniversary, 9/11. Electrical ions, protons, neutrons, dance across the TV screen, then leap that 6-foot canyon to the couch. The image rides my line of sight straight and deep to a broken heart. Next poem is called Blue Ghosts. That's what I call the lights in Manhattan. I see you, your lights, in every skyline photo of our home, our heart. Phantom blue towers slicing the sky and our souls. Next is in memory of, for one of my students, his name is Brett S. I can mention his last name. Just happened recently, or last year, 11/18/2015. I lost another student today from 20 years worth of academy classes. I'm not sure if it was the spelling of a last name on a class roster or a uniform picture, but somewhere in my gut, I knew they were mine. A bad week all around. The war on terror grinds on. Another trip to another doctor. This fool asks me as I strip down for the exam, "You're retired. Why do you wear a Fidney EMS t-shirt?" I say, "All habits die hard." I should have said, "I lost another student today." My last poem is about the monument out in Wisconsin. The Feel Good Foundation has created a monument of people, responders and people in general who were down at the Trade Center who died post-event. In other words, they didn't die at the actual site. They died from cancer, they died from lung problems, PTSD, whatever it is. It's a beautiful place out there. If you ever get a chance to go out and see it, go. It's called The Song of 1,000 Heroes at the Long Island 9/11 Rescuers Memorial. Come to Wisconsin to read my name with my brothers and sisters on a long gray wall, and know that we fell on our life-saving call, and it all gave some gave all. Thank you very much.